Well, good morning, CSL.
Morning.
So nice to see all your smiling faces in the room today. You know, here at CSL, we have 7 core values that we like to use to guide everything we do, and we start with a focus on one of those core values every Sunday. The 7 are love, healing, oneness, abundance, spiritual growth, service, and diversity. Today we're focusing on healing, and I want to share 4 practical suggestions for you around healing. 4 very quick practical suggestions. You know, the first one that came up for me in thinking about this is the wonderful suggestion of Mr. Rogers, who said, when things seem to be going wrong, look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. And as we look around at things that are happening in the world, things that might seem overwhelming, if we look and see people helping and focus on the helpers, that can bring to mind the essence of healing that they are providing. You know, another great way to find some healing is to listen to music. Good, amazing, uplifting, inspiring music, like the music we get here every Sunday morning and the music we had on Friday at the Summer of Love concert, where so many of us came together to be uplifted and inspired by music. So find some music that you find healing to listen to. Another good way to find a little bit of healing, a little bit of break from the stress of the day, is to have something fun to look forward to. If you noticed on your chairs when you came in this morning, there was a vote for the 2020 gala on your chair. So a big party is something good to look forward to, and that can be something fun to plan for and can be healing when you know you have an amazing, wonderful event to look forward to. So make sure you fill out the ballot, drop it in the usher's basket after church. We'll be taking votes for the next 3 Sundays so that we can have something fun and exciting to look forward to. And you know, one of the things that can be so simple but also so very healing is getting together with some friends with a cup of coffee and just having some good conversation. And so to help facilitate that for all of you, starting in August, hospitality will be back here at CSL. Yes. It is a demonstration of us healing collectively from the pandemic. It is a demonstration of healing in that we can come together and support each other and have a good cup of coffee. So in whatever way you find healing in your life, be it through looking for the helpers or being one of them, listening to some great music, having something fun to look forward to, or seeing us Sunday, August 1st for coffee and hospitality, find the healing that fits for you. It's available, and we're here to support you in that. Namaste. So, before we jump in today, you guys have seen me for 3 weeks in a row, which has been fun for me. And yes, thank you. Thank you. Just to let you know, Dr. Chris will be back next week with his wisdom and enthusiasm and passion and power from the stage to help love and support you again. So I just wanted to send wishes from him to you for a wonderful Sunday, knowing that he will be back very soon. You know, I remember as a kid taking road trips in the family car. It was a late 70s butterball yellow Toyota station wagon. And it was the kind that had a radio dial that you actually had to turn by hand, right? And you didn't have the exact, precise digital preset. You would kind of have to tune it in and find where the static was, you know, the littlest you could possibly get. And we would go on road trips. And of course, as you were driving away, if you were listening to the AM band for talk radio, you'd go under a bridge, it would crackle, or the FM band for music. The further away you got, the more you would try to adjust the dial until you lost the signal completely, and then would have to find a new radio station that was broadcasting in that part of the country. And you know, I remember AM being called absolute magic. The FM band, fantastic magic. It was actually a different F word that I heard, but I was a little young for that, and it's not appropriate here. So we'll say fantastic magic. But just that you could have somebody speaking in a room, and that could turn into something invisible that you can't hear, see, smell, taste, or touch, that somehow then gets broadcast so quickly that there's almost no perception of time difference between it gets to you hundreds of miles away. TV and radio broadcasting is truly an amazing thing. And just like TV and radio, we are broadcasting stations as well. In our book of the month this month, Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes reminds us of this. We are all broadcasting stations, whether we know it or not. Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our faiths and fears tend to make an imprint on our environment. Our thoughts and feelings create an atmosphere that we can feel and that others can feel. We know this, right? We've all had experiences of this. This is really one of the great challenges and also opportunities of life. Think happy thoughts, you feel happy feelings. Think angry thoughts, feel angry feelings. The opportunity there is in how we think and what we think, what we're broadcasting out. Of course, the big challenge is to not get down on ourselves when what we're broadcasting isn't what we want. There's certainly a great opportunity to go, well, gee, if I'm not having a great time right now and it's the thoughts that I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my consciousness? Why am I thinking thoughts of sadness or fear or doubt or worry and creating this experience for myself? And of course, that's just more of the same. That's more of a broadcast that doesn't really serve us. But we're more than just broadcasting stations. We receive as well. Ernest Holmes says this, we are also receiving sets, but it does not follow that we must tune into every program being broadcast. When we want to listen to a certain program, we tune our radios to its wavelength. The program already is within the ether of the room. Once again, we know that we are receiving sets. We walk into a particular room and we can feel the energy of that room. And if that energy is high and delightful and loving and joyful like the energy in this room, it's a room that we want to be in. It's a room that we want to attune our receiving frequency to so that we can feel more of that love, of that joy, of the goodness present in the room. We've also all walked into rooms that don't feel so good, right? The opportunity there is either to leave the room, get far enough away from the broadcast that it's no longer receptive in our receiving instrument, or to do our best intention to shift the energy that we are broadcasting so that we can raise the vibration in that room, be the healing presence that changes the atmosphere. Of course, unlike radio stations, our receiver doesn't tune in to just one frequency at a time, does it? Our receiving station is set to open to all frequencies all the time. That's why it can be sometimes difficult to know whether our feeling tone is really ours or not. Talk to anybody who knows about their empathic nature on a deep level, and they will tell you, you can walk into a room and you can pick up on so much stuff from so many people that it can be really confusing to understand in our own emotional state what's ours and what we've picked up from somebody else. Good question to ask yourself, is this mine? Is this mine? I was reminded recently from a dear friend that this is a good practice to have, asking, is this mine? And if you get clarity that the energy you're feeling is not yours, maybe do your best to not respond from that level of energy, but to recognize that it is not yours, set it aside, and tune your frequency back in to the frequency that you bring with you. You know, I had a really unexpected and powerful experience of how we are broadcasting and receiving stations and how we can change the atmosphere of a room or a situation. Had this experience last Sunday, actually. After service, my wife and I decided to go walk and get some lunch. And so we were walking through a neighborhood and we came to a four-way stop. We were about 2.5, 3 blocks away from the four-way stop, and there was an SUV coming towards us and a sedan coming across that came to the four-way stop at the same time. Both cars stopped. The sedan didn't see the SUV and started to make a very wide U-turn as the SUV started to move forward. At the very last minute, the sedan saw what was going on, pulled more sharply, narrowly avoiding the crash, and ended up both facing toward us on the street. So you can imagine what the atmosphere was in watching that happen, right? Anytime there is a near miss, the energy that is broadcast, the atmosphere, the emotion is fear, worry, concern, right? Concern about safety, financial concerns, all sorts of things that could come from an accident. We certainly felt that watching this happen. Now, when we find ourselves in a broadcast, either broadcasting ourselves or feeling it from somebody else, that is one that includes fear and concern and worry, like was in this situation. We have a couple options there, right? We can take that and say, look, nothing happened. Thank God nothing happened, and move to gratitude that everything was okay. Or if we're not very well versed in managing our emotional states, we can go to anger and blame and rage. And we felt the energy shift to anger and blame and rage. The SUV pulled forward and the passenger rolled down the window to start yelling at the driver of the other car. You could have killed us. What's wrong with you? All of this hate and rage, riding on what really underlying was a sense of fear and concern and worry, but of course that broadcast changed the atmosphere of the area. Of course, from a standstill, nobody's going to die from that accident, right? So you could tell that the energy was riding on something that was a little heavier than was actually appropriate. Well, we felt the energy get a little more intense as we continued to walk, and the driver of the SUV got out of the car, walked around the front of his car, and started to open the door to the sedan. Odd thing happened. My broadcasting station, without me doing anything, aligned perfectly to the energy of stop. No, not today. I don't know what happened. I don't know what shifted in me, but there was a deadlock on the energy of no, stop. Not on Independence Day are you going to make a mistake that could cost you your freedom. Not today. And that energy rode forward in me as I continued to walk on the energy of stop. Took out my cell phone, started recording video, because that's what we can do these days. I said, sir, get back in your car. This isn't worth it. From an energy that did not brook any conversation. There was no room for argument in the broadcast that was coming out of me, not because of me, but through me. I didn't know how to attune to that broadcast. It just came through, right? The woman in the car said, well, my husband's not going to do anything. Why are you recording? He's standing over a driver in a car with the door open. He looked up, called me a little punk, which I thought was kind of funny. I'm a little punk, all right. Got back in the car and drove away. The energy of stop, the energy of no, that was broadcasting so clearly from me, through me, again, I wasn't doing this, friends, was so clear that there was no room for any argument. That energy of stop stopped the potential altercation. Can you imagine if I had gone into that, broadcasting worry and fear and concern, and oh my God, should I really be doing this? And if my hand was shaking while I was holding the camera, which you would expect when there's a big adrenaline push, but my hand was dead still because it wasn't adrenaline that was driving me forward. But you can imagine that if I came up with an attitude of, oh, look at this person, I'm going to get you and show you all over social media, aren't you stupid? You can imagine that there might have been a little bit more antagonism in that, more room for argument, more room for pushback. If I was concerned or worried or afraid, you can imagine that there might be more pushback available in that situation. But because the energy was so clear on no, stop, there was nothing for it to do but to stop and to move on. I share this story not to encourage you to try to intervene when you see things. Typically, I wouldn't have done that, but the energy was so clear for me. I share that story simply as a demonstration of how quickly a powerful broadcast can change the experience in a room or in a situation. We are broadcasting stations, and what we broadcast makes a difference in our world and in the world of everyone else. Of course, what we broadcast also comes back, right? We broadcast out energies of love and joy and peace and happiness. Those come back to us. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, a person who confidently expects good things to happen, who expects everyone to like him, and who expects to find happiness in life wherever he goes, will not only be broadcasting these thoughts, which will make other people happy, he will be receiving them in return. So pretty simple, right? You just have to confidently expect good things all the time, expect everybody to like you, and expect happiness wherever you go in life, no matter what. Easy, right? Everybody's about there, right? No challenges with that. It's a tall order. And it can be easy when we talk about things in spiritual practice, when we talk about the ideal, when we talk about the destination, to look at the gap between where we are and that ideal and judge ourselves based on the gap between the two, which of course only serves to prolong the gap. This is why the mindset that we talked about last week of I belong to life can be so powerful to establish. Because if we try to take ourselves from wherever we are, which may seem like a far way from I think about happiness all the time and everybody likes me and there's goodness everywhere I go, that can be a big leap. But instead, in our struggles and our trials, if we can say, you know what? I would love to be broadcasting happiness and joy and knowing that all good things come to everybody and everything is great right now, but I'm challenged, but I belong to life. And so I know that whatever is being revealed through the struggle that I'm going through the challenge that I'm having, there is within that the possibility of my greater good. That is a beautiful bridge, friends, from where we are to thinking positive, consciously wonderful, loving thoughts all the time without doubt or hesitation or question. I belong to life is a grand bridge. Another great idea to hold in mind is that nothing and no one is against me. Nothing and no one is against me. If you broadcast that idea as much as you possibly can you imagine how your experience would shift in situations that seem like a struggle? And if we think about it from the perspective of belonging to life, this has to be true. It has to be true. Because what we say is that there is only one life living each and every one of us, and that this one life is eternal. So underneath everything else, one life living all of us that is with and for itself, seeking its greatest expression of itself through me and through you. So if anybody or anything were to be against me, would that not be the principle of life coming against the principle of life itself? And if life could stand against itself, it would destroy itself and there would be nothing here. But that's not the case. We know that life is eternal. We know that life lives each and every one of us. And so nothing and no one can ultimately be against me. Everything must be in the ultimate expression of life in service to my greatest good, to your greatest good, to the greatest good of everybody or everything going on around you. It can be hard to see that sometimes. But if we remember that we belong to life, that can be a bridge. There's another great practice that Ernest suggests that's very similar to one called turning the golden key that Emmett Fox brought forth many, many years ago. Emmett Fox, if you're unfamiliar, was another titan of the New Thought movement back in the day. And he originally presented this idea of turning the golden key in relation to affirmative prayer. Because oftentimes we'll do an affirmative prayer and then look for the results and start to worry and wonder if we did the prayer right if the results aren't immediately present. This works also in terms of our broadcasting station. So Emmett Fox says when that happens, stop and start thinking about life. Start thinking about spirit. Start thinking about the universe instead. So when we find ourselves broadcasting something that we don't want in our lives, to the best of our ability, we can stop and start thinking about life instead. And when you start thinking about life from that perspective, an interesting thing happens. You see, because it is unfathomable what life truly is. And the more you start to think about it, the more fascinated you get by it, the more engrossing it becomes. So going back to the story of the potential road rage that I happened to, by grace, be there to help prevent. How in the world did I end up there at that time? If I think about life and everything that it took from life for me to be at that spot at that particular time, we talked for 5 or 10 minutes about where we were going to go to lunch. If we had talked for 4 minutes, I would have missed it. We talked about whether or not to drive or walk because it was a hot day. We decided to walk. If we had driven, I would have missed it. We got half a block away from our house and said, I know we're both vaccinated and you don't need masks anymore, but should we go back and get our masks just in case they want us to wear them from the door to the table? And we walked a half a block back to get masks that we knew we didn't need because something in us had said, maybe you should go back and get those masks. And that time put us in the right and perfect space at the right and perfect time to be the presence of stop that prevented a potential altercation that neither of the parties who were driving knew was going to happen. How in the world does life do that? How in the world can life be so magnificent and so amazing that it knows all of this stuff and somehow directs me as an emanation of life to be in a situation that on my own I would never have been able to do? Ben Jamison on his own would have been shaken like a leaf. Ben Jamison on his own may not even have done anything. But life in me, how magnificent and miraculous is that? And the more you think about the magnificence and the miraculousness of life and how amazing all of the left turns and right turns are to get you where you are in this moment, then the struggles and the challenges that you might have been thinking with around your affirmative prayer or whatever it is that you have been broadcasting tend to dissipate because you've become so fascinated with something as amazing as life or the power of love or spirit or the universe itself or whatever word works for you. We can always turn that golden key and shift our broadcast. There is another wonderful broadcast that Ernest Holmes suggests. In The Science of Mind, he suggests, I believe that you memorize this and do it 100 times a day, but again, that could be a lot for some of us. But it doesn't have an official title, but I called it the Broadcast of Good, and it's actually on your chairs. I'm going to read it once, and then I would like to close today by having us broadcast this together. So it goes like this. Good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine. There is no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. What a good broadcast, yes? A good broadcast to maybe do at least once a day now that you have it written out and can put it on your mirror or your fridge or in your car so that you see it on a regular basis. Are you ready to broadcast some good together this morning? If you are, then go ahead and take one hand and touch into your heart center so we can feel that loving presence. And whether you're at home or in the room, there is only one life, so we are all connected regardless. And you may want to take the other hand and touch into your power center, that solar plexus right above your belly, just to connect your power and your love together. And then let's say this together with the authority of life, with the authority of a broadcasting station that knows that whatever we broadcast comes back to us and that we are broadcasting this with each other together in a way that is more powerful than we could possibly imagine, and it's coming right back. Are you ready? Let's say this together. Good and more good is mine, and ever-increasing good is mine. There is no limit to the good which is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it, I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. You powerful broadcasters, get ready for your good, because it went out and is coming back. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. So let's take a moment now in spiritual practice, now that we have broadcast good out into the world, to tune within, to allow our receiving stations to become active and alive. We'll have some music that will help to take us within. And so for now, simply find yourself comfortable in your chair, allow your eyes to close, and allow the music to bring you within.
I breathe out, I breathe in, I am still, I go within. When I quiet my mind, in the stillness I find
And so breathing into this now moment, allowing the breath to fill the lungs, to bring you centered. With our focus in the heart, in the core of our being, we open to receive. Our receiver is always on. It is always receiving perfectly. And in this moment, we turn our receiving station to good. The good and more good that is already mine, that flows to me and through me and in me and around me and multiplies itself in all the myriad ways that good can show up. And so breathing into the good, with our receiving station open, we can simply take a moment and sit together in the silence, receiving love, peace, life, presentness, and good in the silence. Grateful for this moment. Grateful for the good. Grateful for the life that beats my heart. Grateful for this moment, this community. I breathe in my good, allowing it to fill every cell and enliven every system, organ, and function of my body, knowing all is well. And with another deep breath in, allow your focus to come back into the body, into the room, bringing with you all the good, and leaving your receiving station open to more and more and more. And when you are ready, allow your eyes to open and be here now.
I breathe out, I breathe in, I am still, I go within. When I quiet my mind, in the stillness I find. Spirit meets me there, Spirit meets me there.
And exciting and full of fun for all of us. We like to end every Sunday with an affirmation. You have that affirmation card on your chair. It looks a little bit like this one, and we'll have it pop up on the screen here in a second. And let's say this affirmation together. Together, what I send out returns to me. I am broadcasting a consciousness of faith and love. And so turning our attention within to that place where unlimited consciousness, unconditional love, and perfect life lives as us. We know that as we broadcast out in this week, we broadcast good and more good. We broadcast joy and love and peace and faith and grace and abundance, knowing that that life guides, guards, directs, and protects us, and that wherever we are, wherever we go, whatever we do, we are a beneficial presence for that light, that life, that presence and power of Spirit itself is emanating in us, as us, and through us for the highest good of all concerned. And in this, we are blessed and filled with joy and enthusiasm and clear knowing that all is well. And so it is. Thank you so much for being here. Join us next week, 10:30 Eastern Time, here in the sanctuary, 10 o'clock for meditation. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time at CSL. Bye.
Thank you for watching, and thanks for supporting CSL. If you'd like to know more about us, check us out on our website or social media. Blessings.